Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of Week Ahead. We actually have something to talk about this week.
We do.
As we were chatting before we started, the legislature finally has sort of hit its stride this week with public hearings. There's a number of them. Ben, you've got some?
Yeah, no, we're hitting the ground running over natural resources. LD 146, the mining legislation, dealing with the adoption of the mining rules. They're back. Public hearing starts at 9 a.m. I'm sure it's going to be a big issue that we're discussing. And with the different makeup of the legislature, I think there's a good opportunity here for us to bring some economic development to some areas of the state that certainly need it. So that's going to be a big day for the Natural Resources Committee. We're also holding some public hearings on Thursday. One of the bills to know, LD 307 in the Natural Resources Committee, has to do with the setbacks having to do with development along river walkways and old mill projects. Deals with decks and walkways, so that's another piece of legislation that will help encourage development. Energy and Utilities is also getting up and running, holding some public hearings. They have on Thursday, one bill over there, LD 237, has to do with a recommendation from OPEGA that would allow for an additional staffer that would help people that aren't familiar with the PUC process to allow them to participate in that. So the hearings are getting up and running, and I'm sure as we move forward quickly, we're going to see a lot of bills scheduled. So it's good to see things moving forward. Linda?
Yeah, appropriations, they're going to hold a joint public hearing with the Taxation Committee today, continuing their budget hearings on the governor's budget. Today is going to be sales tax and the expansion of the sales tax piece in the tax reform package. So they're going to be holding a public hearing today at 10 and again at 1. We'll be monitoring that. And Taxation Committee will hold public hearings and a work session on Wednesday that we'll be attending. And that's really about it. Budget hearings really took up a lot of time last week. It was school vacation. Of course, we were working, so we testified twice last week on the BETTER program and also the income tax piece and the governor's budget. So again, this is the last day for the public hearings on the tax reform package, and they will continue over the next 5 weeks to hold public hearings on the various other sections according to the Senate chair. So.
And I've got a couple of bills in the LCREG committee tomorrow, LD 9, which is a redo of the call center bill that was submitted last session, and LD 188, which is a bill that would, it has this somewhat, well, I'm not sure how to describe it. The title is Prevent Abusive Work Environments, but the reality is the bill is a lot more than that, and there's also a number of laws, both federal and state, that already address the issue of hostile work environments. This bill would just allow increased litigation by employees against employers and fellow employees for what is a very subjective definition of an abusive work environment. It's a bill that would, again, it was submitted last session. We're going to be opposing that one like we will the call center bill. And there are a couple of other bills this week. One you and I talked about regarding repealing the seatbelt law, the mandatory seatbelt law. That's something employers feel pretty strongly about from a workplace safety perspective. That's in transportation on Friday. So overall, the legislature is finally up and moving. There's going to be a lot more bills printed and referenced this week. I think we can expect to see a public hearing schedule for the next 2 weeks as pretty full.
And we're up to about 500 bills, right? Over 500 bills, right? Yeah, so that's a lot.
They didn't print as many as I thought they would while they were on break last week, but they did print some, and those will be referenced tomorrow.
Right.
So I think that's where we're at for this week. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next week for another edition of The Week Ahead.